Hello everyone, and welcome to this channel of Awakening Stories, where people tell their stories of awakening. And I'm very happy to have Sabina with me today. And yeah, thank you very much for coming and being courageous, sharing your story and your insights with us today. So, let's start with just introducing yourself a little bit. Like, where do you live? Because most people who are getting their story out here, they are from all different countries. So it's always nice to hear where are you from? What are you doing right now? How is your life right now? So, yeah, hi.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Catherine, for this wonderful opportunity. I am currently in Indiana, US,
Mhm.
Indianapolis, US, and I am born and brought up from Bangladesh, which is a very small country in Southeast Asia. And I came here, I guess, about 14 years ago in the States. So I guess it might resonate with a lot of people out there. I just never felt that I fit anywhere. So
Mm,
when I grew up back home in Bangladesh, I never felt that I fit there. And, life was just, I don't know where I belong, kind of state. And now that I live here for, about 14 years, I don't feel I fit here either. But now I have reached a very sweet spot where I just feel like I am bringing east to the west when I'm here. And then when I go back home, I'm bringing west to the east. So I'm like always feeling myself in that bridging space,
mm,
connecting just, different part of world. And I belong to Mother Earth. So yeah. So that's a little bit about where I am geographically and also in my heart. What do I do now is I am a chemical engineer. I'm a scientist in the field of chemical engineering, and it has been a journey of 18 years, starting from my undergrad, class to last year. I actually got that leap of faith and courage to leave that path because right from the first class, I knew this was not for me. And I just didn't know what is for me.
mhm,
So that, just that disconnect became bigger and bigger. And it just started to feel like extremely suffocating every day, every moment was starting to get more and more suffocating. And but you live here, you have to earn money, like it's like being in a different country other than your home country means that like every breath it takes dollars. It just feels like that. So obviously there was a lot of different factors holding me in that unfulfilling position, and especially not knowing what to do after this, because that was one of the biggest challenge. So I just, yeah, got that courage and to end it last year. And ever since I did end that, I just became like full-time me. The feeling is that I'm flying like on the sky, free, and whatever feels fun, I do it. So I call myself in different names, but I'm still waiting for the right one. But the main essence is that I activate soul. So the soul light that we are, I activate that. So that is my passion. And I go by a life transformation coach. I also work with Kundalini energy, so I activate that in others. So Kundalini energy facilitator, mentors for spiritual awakening. And it's just, I don't know. It's just like whatever feels resonant. So I don't know what I will call myself next year, But yeah, just like expressing myself, expressing my light.
Mm.
I just started this journey and I feel so good just being me
Yeah.
and just being me. There is no, like, this moment is the same as being me. So there is no separation between work and life. So now I'm just being me. Yeah, that I guess that was how is life? That was another question.
Yeah.
Life is full on adventure. It's just non-stop adventure, one after other, and I feel alive.
Yeah.
That's where I will end.
Wow. That's so nice. So, when did you quit the job? When did you dive into this new life?
Yeah, it's last year, January.
January. I see. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so let's go back. Let us hear what your journey was with. So you had also a Kundalini awakening, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, uh, let's talk about that. How did that start? How did it
Mhm.
happen? And what I also always like to know if you have the feeling that you did something that this happened, like, or as a child, that you felt that something was odd or different. So, yeah, just um, guide
Yeah,
through your journey.
I guess I'll just start how it felt as a child. It just felt very numb. Like I know there were moments of happiness, but it just was generally a very numb, like bland childhood
Hmm.
because a lot of trauma started begin it began right after the birth. So we'll talk about that later if it comes up. But as a child, I just felt like something is very wrong. Like nothing makes sense. And ever since I can remember that thought process, all I was doing is that, what is this? It doesn't make sense. Like, what are we doing? Like, just like eating, sleeping, like, what is happening? Like, I just found myself in this constantly trying to figure out state. So even like funny memories is just like when I was in like grade one, grade two, little child, I was just, grade one feels good. And then this is the best class. And then when I'm in grade two, this is the best class. And I was so confused, like it's always changing, like all of this, like I was in constant like now I see contemplation mode, but back in the whole life, it was just always inside myself, questioning and just, trying to figure out, and nothing made sense. And I was so confused. How I am so confused, but not anyone around me. Everyone seems to know
Yeah.
what they're doing, and everyone was like, okay. And I was just not okay at all. Like, just constantly asking question about life, and like all of the conversation that I had, it was always driven by the same central concept, like what is life, what is going on,
Mm.
what are we doing here. And I quit the religion route very long time ago because it just didn't make sense. So obviously I didn't even had anyone to pray to, like I had, it's just my questions
Mm.
and my insanity. That was how, so that was the main process that was going on, like a very, very deep question state. And as life went on, my thought process became more and more negative because the trauma was getting more and more expressed, right? So the emotional state was depression.
Mm.
I just wanted to die. I just felt like, you know, I wanna, like, I'm just waiting to die. So that became more and more prominent. And all of the thought process inside was highly, highly negative, self-critical. And so there was basically like the darkness was just consuming my whole existence. And there was some career goals and it was met, okay, like those were met, but there was nothing to look forward to anymore.
So,
Love life was a mess.
uh, so
Yeah.
when did that start with the depressive states? How old?
Depression, it's interesting how it was always there, but like the period was different, like the frequency was different.
Mm,
Like it would come whenever I was not with my friends and I'm alone, I
mm,
could feel it. So
yeah.
I went to boarding school. So I grew up actually one of the very important time of my life in boarding school from age, I believe, 12 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with friends all the time. And whenever I'm alone, I could feel it like this dark cloud, basically. But there would be times where it would be extremely intense. Like for 1 week, I just feel like I cannot smile. I am cursed and everything is so negative. And I like everyone else is smiling and I can't. And like just intense depression. So it would come and go. So it was like a very, yeah, like the frequency was very different when I was little and then adolescence.
Mm,
And then when I came to US, that's when it like really started, like in a very permanent basis, especially with my first attempt in PhD in Penn State, because my mentor was extremely tough.
mm.
It was like the whole, I was there for 4 years and I quit at fourth year because it just was not, it was,
Too much to
yeah,
handle. Yeah.
it was very bad. And that 4 year was the like total ego death type of situation. So then it was still getting bigger and bigger. The depression was getting bigger and bigger, and like I'm just crying and I'm just like, how did I get here? Like all I'm feeling is just sadness. And then I moved to NC State, so another university, that I have to change this environment because I feel like a complete failure. And before that, study was easy, like I focus and it works out. So I went to a different school. I got a different mentor, who feels nice, who feels very supportive. In that school, I got back in my previous state where you just study, you get good grades. It's easy. It's like natural.
Mhm.
Then the depression really started permanently because then before then I didn't have the space. I was just so like
Struggling,
uh,
struggling. Like,
running, running, running because that's how the lab was. My previous lab, like it was like we started at 9 a.m., we ended at 9 p.m. And then even the weekends we had to work. So there is no even time to feel anything. But the state of being was always like heavy. But when I came to NC State, when now this mentor is like very hands off, you just give him the work and he doesn't care what you're doing when you're doing. That's when it really started, like total depression. Like every day waking up takes few hours from like waking up and putting your feet on the ground. Just this step was the hardest, that you're starting your day. Like for what? Because I have no life force. I don't have any drive to go through life anymore.
mm,
So, yeah, that was how it got extremely intense. And then the Big Bang happened,
mm,
the awakening.
I see. Okay, and what did happen there?
Yeah, so even in that, like, I think it was about 1 or 2 year of that depression state. I was still, being an engineer or just being someone, a human being with a brain, is trying to figure out.
Mm,
I had a chart, I had an Excel sheet where I'm like noting when things are getting intense, what is causing it, like, am I exercising? And I started that, okay, maybe meditation would be a good idea. So I was just trying to, am I journaling? I was just trying to really help myself. Like now that I see it from the heart, like the heart center, I see that I was really, really trying to uh, bring myself out of that permanent state of depression. And I was noting interestingly how right before, we have our moon cycle,
mhm,
things get extremely bad. So I was trying to find correlation. I was really, really trying to find myself some way of like seeing some light, it was so hard and nothing was working. Like nothing was working. My personal relationship was getting worse and worse. Things with family was just cut out. So I was just in that like the darkest corner where you have no one, you have obviously no faith on anything because obviously I didn't had that type of relationship with higher forces,
yeah,
and I have no one in like physical life. So and the more I'm trying, the more you know messy and worse it's becoming. So it was just like natural state where I just reached a point where I'm like, I am ready to die. Just take me. Like, I give up.
mhm.
I give up. I cannot try anymore. So that's when it came online. And yeah, I had it. I took a trip to see my friends because I was so suffocated with the way things were. And I talked with my ex actually.
Mhm.
And he said something about, we came from the same place and we are all connected. And he just said something like that.
Mhm.
And I I know that created a resonance because I was very receptive to him.
Yeah.
And that was for me, it was that remembrance was it just came forth like this. And yeah, so it was just a beautiful, divine drama, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
was in we talked before, but just to let the listeners know, that was in 2017, right?
yeah. 2017, November 18th. Yeah,
Okay. And so
yeah,
what were the symptoms? Describe the symptoms you had the moment
yeah,
you felt that there was something awakening, actually.
yeah. So I came back from the trip and then I just felt different. Like, like I just felt before I was always trying to change my external situation. And I came back from the trip and I see my external situation is extremely harsh um, with my partner that I was staying at that time. And I wasn't trying to change it. I was just observing. And that was very new. Like I never experienced that state before where I was just observing. And in other times, I would cry, I would break down why this is happening. And I was just like calmly observing. And then I went to bed. I woke up with this like I say big bang because that's the only, I guess, word that can because no word can describe it. It's literally like I woke up and I feel like, whoa, like all the questions has been answered. I just felt like the whole life I was just searching and I just felt found. I
Mm,
just felt so much like amazement, bliss, and just it's just light, like I can see through. And I had kind of outer body type of experience where I'm seeing this human from outside of me and I'm feeling so much love. I'm feeling so like before I would stand in front of the mirror and all I would feel like self-hatred.
mhm. Wow.
And now I'm just like feeling so much love for everything, like everything that happened. Like every moment felt like it's a song, like all connected. Like every event, every person, everything was just like a continuous song. And it's just,
Yeah.
like yeah, no word can describe it. It's just like I just felt found, I felt home, and I just felt like this is all. Like nothing ever made sense because this is what was missing.
Mhm. Wow.
This is it. And there were psychic ability, like you can feel others' thoughts and like you can predict like not predict, you can see through the future that's about to happen next few seconds, because then like what really happened is the centers got really open, right? And so this is where all the information filters through.
Mhm.
So every moment just felt like,
Yeah. And
oh,
how long did that last? Like the
oh,
big
that honeymoon,
stay that open.
the honeymoon phase. I
Yeah.
call it the honeymoon phase
Exactly.
because, yeah, so obviously the fear came. What if I go back to the previous state?
Mhm.
Like, what if I go back to the previous me? And it didn't go in like this, but it just gradually within a week,
Mhm.
the honeymoon ended.
Mhm.
And then started the real journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of integration and trying to kind of connect to that in a grounded way, right?
For me, it was like, that's gone. I'm back to the previous one,
Mm-hmm.
but even the crazier version.
Oh,
Because, yeah, because so the way I describe it is that you are in a very, very dirty room
mm-hmm.
filled with cobwebs, filled with dirt. It's really, really layers and layers of dirt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a glimpse of how that room would look like when it's like clean.
Yeah.
And then now you just started cleaning. And the beginning process is that it's actually even worse
Mm-hmm.
than before you started cleaning because it's all just chaos and dirt, and it's like just maddening. Like it's just so much because before I saw I mean I was my shadow state, but the shadows became extremely like intense, and there was nothing I could do about it. Before there was, I guess there was no lead anymore, like it's just all like coming up
Out in the open.
like very, very easily triggered, I would say. And the reaction was very, very intense. And I was surprised that, oh my God, like I am this bad, um, so it was very intense when this would happen. And then suddenly that state would come where you're connected.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a very, it would come suddenly, but then other times you're like with this intense shadows and you're yearning for that. You're
Yeah.
like yearning to feel that.
Yeah, but what about it? I think I just want to know how it was for you. I mean, I was also kind of in a dark place when it happened, but um and then I was also like 2 weeks in the honeymoon phase.
Hmm.
It's funny because I know it's the honeymoon, the bliss phase
Hmm.
people have, but I was even in that phase, I was not fully just enjoying it. I was scared of that absolutely crazy state of being so open. I was scared, so I wasn't just enjoying it. And also when I came back into dark phases of my life, it
Yeah.
actually helped me tremendously to have had this experience, because then I knew there is more. And
Yes.
just that, not belief, but knowing that there
Yes.
is more,
Yes. Yes.
pulled me through a lot of other dark
Yes.
periods, that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. So I before it was that like it's just that questioning state was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
that I have experienced
Yeah.
the answered state, you know?
Yeah.
So then it was just enjoying from, I would say, from the soul perspective.
Yeah.
But the traumatized parts are still very, very new, and they're about to be like really, really get, exposed. And so I'm talking about the first 2 years period.
Yeah.
That was getting really prominent because I don't believe those trauma can even express themselves without having the container being open.
Yeah.
Like the bliss really like opened the container, and then the trauma started to like really show up. And so exactly as you said,
Yeah.
just knowing that, this is part of the journey. Now that I have seen life as a song, allowed me with so much trust and faith to go through no matter what happens outside
Mm.
because of that experience, even though it is not here all the time.
Exactly.
Just to have tasted once, it was enough to go through everything. So yeah, it was very, very hard. And 1 year I just was by myself, where I really couldn't talk to anyone about this because no one in my life understood. I have an uncle who did meditation almost like for a really long time, and he is, in a very high conscious state. And I called him, and then I realized even he doesn't understand. Like, like I ask about Kundalini, and then he's like, don't do it without a guru. And I'm like, I'm not doing it, it's doing me. I'm not, there is no I am anymore. It's all just happening. So I realized that I'm really alone in this space because literally no one in my life has this experience. Even the one who I thought would get it doesn't get it. So
Yeah.
1 year was,
Also, I think, that's why I also think it's so important that people tell their stories, because a
mhm,
lot of people feel very alone with their experiences. And I
mhm,
have people, and many, who told me that when it happened, they were actually in an ashram.
mhm,
Because, that of course, when you do something like Vipassana, it can happen.
mhm, mhm,
Always said that actually the facilitators were not very helpful, and
mhm,
one person even told me that he was kicked out because he started to talk about what is happening to him, and they didn't understand. And then he became kind of paranoid, and then
Mhm.
they kicked him out. And so this is also a very harsh experience, because you, in the most vulnerable state, you
Mhm.
are not getting the help of people who
Mhm.
actually should know. And
Mhm.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it's I definitely wanna echo that. Like, I know there are different paths to our the peak of the mountain. But for those who are going through the active Kundalini awakening journey, only the one who is going through it can understand and relate. And even though there would be friends or mentors like who is in a very high conscious state, like really high conscious state, and you would think they know, even they won't know unless they went through the same path. So this is something I learned in many difficult ways,
Mm.
that because they would take this or that as weakness, but it's just my body doing it. I'm not doing anything. Look, so it's a very, very, it's when we are most vulnerable, as you said, and it's when we need that understanding, and it's when we want a lot of times granted
Yeah.
that understanding.
Also, there
Yeah.
are, of course, a lot of misconceptions about Kundalini. I mean, most
Hmm.
people, when they are confronted with somebody who is actually having a lot of very strong emotional reactions, or being very like open and maybe even angry, they think, well, this is not Kundalini, because a person who has Kundalini is like very wonderful and nice, you know? So then you get also like yeah, being put off, because they say, now you are just crazy, or, and that's a very harsh experience, because yeah, it's just you you don't try to have something, you just have it, and you have to deal with it, with the good and
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's definitely touches my heart because one of my main trauma was feeling invisible and feeling misunderstood. Feeling invisible is basically one of my core trauma and core need. And
yeah.
so obviously to be seen by someone, not just someone, right? Someone, even like a mentor or a friend I trust, someone I'm giving that authority
Mm-hmm.
to to really be vulnerable. And even then, I saw that I'm not fully accepted
Yeah.
as I am. And a lot of their teachings or what they're saying, let's say 90%, I agree, but there would be 10% that is not right for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you have to really, I think the journey really is about being 100% true to yourself.
Yeah.
And even though the person next to me is an embodiment of God or goddess of the highest light, even then feeling what is true here.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the hologram, right?
Yeah.
Who is coming in front of me. But this is the source,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so that I think there is a lesson in this.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's very hard, because I really, really wanted someone to come and just like accept me exactly how I am with my vulnerabilities and my strength and all of this duality. And it's just, there isn't anyone, because it's just not possible. And the lesson really for me is that I am the one to do this. And then I can
And
decide what to
yeah,
take and
then it
what not to take.
flows. I think that's absolutely true, and it's true for everyone, not only, people who are being thrown into this process. Everyone is like, if you stay with yourself and what is true to yourself, then the other people can react differently,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
maybe step by step it will come, because you will not accept anything else anymore. If somebody
Exactly.
accept you how you are, he's not going to be in
Hmm.
your field. You
Hmm.
not put up with it,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
change. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, wow, beautiful. And what about body sensations? Did you have, are you struggling with sensations or
Um, Struggling or just the sensations?
both? So,
Both. Yeah, so for me, you are talking about Kriya or something
yeah, or
else?
something like that. I mean, kriyas, they can be very subtle. So,
Oh,
have any energy overloads, maybe, or even just having beautiful experiences with the energy.
yeah, so I mean, definitely like for me, the way it started is there was these centers being opened. So that's when like I think we call that phase like spiritual awakening, where we just get connected with the energy realm, right? The subtle realm, or like the real realm, I guess, in a way. Um, and then after a few months, like the actual root Kundalini woke up. So just when it started, I have been always experiencing really, really intense physical symptoms. So like the Kriya has been very, very strong for me
I see.
from from that moment on until now. It's just something, it's always here, and I have to actually whenever I am with people who don't know me, i I have to actually let them know that, because whenever I relax this can happen. So it's just something that everyone's body is different, and for them everyone experiences this energy in a different way. For me it has been a very constant process, and if I don't let the energy flow, obviously it gets extremely bad. Everything starts to
Mm-hmm.
hurt.
Yeah.
And I mean, over this last 7.5 years, there has been a lot of weird physical, pain symptoms. But because I was aware that this is all like body
Mm-hmm.
purification process, and I had just this deep trust in this energy when it started, that there is nothing to worry. Like there was time where one of my ear, like just suddenly, one ear, I didn't had any sensation for about a week. Like it just was completely numb. And if I was not going through this journey, I'd freak out and I'd go to doctors. Uh, but because I knew that anything can happen, and like when it's time to go to a doctor, obviously we want to, but I was just waiting. And then about a week later the sensation came back. So it's just like different type of things that happens with the body
Mm-hmm.
that I don't usually freak out, but there would be times where the physical discomfort is
Yeah.
extremely bad, right? Especially when we are purging a lot of um, like very deep core childhood fear, a lot of survival fear, and different difficult emotions that are very deep. Obviously, like the whole body is just going through agony. It's just severe shock on the whole system. And I would have a lot of times situation where my head. It's just one of my condition. Everyone's body's different. They have different, I call them opening. I don't call them issues because it's not really negative. It does feel negative for the human self, but it is the portal to open, right? It is the portal to light to enter us. So for me, I have been diagnosed with complex PTSD. So after depression, that started the complex PTSD. And I know that the amygdala, that's the fight or flight center, is like really, really sensitive.
Mhm.
So any moment it can get into a fight or flight response, and my whole head starts to throb. I can't sleep. It's just like very, very too much active here. And because my condition has been depression, so my root was closed. I was very disconnected to my body. So those like that lower part, it gets completely numb, where this part is just hyperactive. I can't sleep, all the negative thought, all the fear, and just all kinds of, even like before this interview, like one day ago, I was in a like extremely bad shape, and I was just like, how on earth I can even, speak today? So because I went through this for so long,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this will get over. But during a very, purging time, now the frequency has changed. Before, like there would be maybe like a month of darkness. Now it's like, in 2, 3 days, it can happen. Like the whole cycle can happen, right? So because of just how much, I guess we have already gone through this reps many, many times. Now we are very aware of whenever, this part of the body is hurting, okay, we are purging this emotion, you know. Whenever there is like heavy chest, then maybe we are just like going through a lot of heartbreak and we cannot just process it. So it's just now reading the body more because this is the holy grail, right? The body.
Oh, it's crazy, huh? And thanks again that you are so courageous and that you come and speak, even though like 2 days ago you weren't sure. So it's crazy, right?
Was like I have no idea because for me like I have a huge stage fright.
Mhm.
So and this is my first podcast and it's like and I this time I really didn't want to prepare myself that like let's just see what happens, and I am going through a lot of yeah, like purging of my very deep childhood pain and for a lot of situations. So I understand where this is all coming from. And I think that understanding is the main healer,
Yeah.
you know?
So if it's okay for you, because of course, for I think it's a very important topic, especially for people who are listening, who went through something similar, because it's just a fact that a lot of people who go through such a spiritual awakening, they actually have trauma in their in their childhood, or yeah. So if it's okay for you that we elaborate a little bit about that, about your perspective of how your trauma is related to the spiritual awakening, and what was first, like, have you been very traumatized and that's why you didn't feel like you fit into this world, or were you an open soul and then trauma hit um to well for this very open soul, and then you were being thrown into this journey and this path. So that would interest me a lot.
Yeah. So I would give you a very, the way I see it, perspective, is that so this dimension is like extremely tiny of what we really are. It's infinitesimally small. Okay. Um, that much I feel in my body that this is just like it's not even tip of the iceberg. It's like a needle of the iceberg. Okay. Now, this body is the vessel or the instrument through which the light that we are experiences itself
Mhm.
as it is. Okay. Now imagine like if you have this tiny instrument, only tiny light can
Mhm.
pass through. And if you have this big instrument, how much light? So it's the body is the opening
Mhm.
of our truth, of our infinite dimension to experience itself, right? So every one of us, we come here with a different uh, opening
Mhm.
of how much we are going to experience ourselves in this lifetime
Mhm.
that we start with, and then we have a kind of end capacity, right? How much it can expand. And so trauma is the one force that kind of keeps the opening into a very small state.
Mhm.
So you have many degree of trauma. You have your living trauma that happened from when you're a child to even now. What is trauma? It just means that hasn't been processed yet,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? That is stored. So that is trauma. So every day, even now, like I'm going through a situation where I'm just going through too much emotion and I don't have the time to process it. And if this event that just happened, it's too big and I don't have the space to process it. So I will process it later when the space is here. And so even this moment is traumatic because my body cannot process it. So it's holding on to the difficult emotion, right? So the trauma, like we have probably a very it's a very normal thing. It's just unprocessed emotion. Okay, so the trauma starts from the moment we come here. It can start from very different ways. For some, they have probably much more open childhood experience, right? Where, they got hurt and they cried. So the body processed the
Yeah.
pain, right? And for some, like mine, it was different. So I will speak on that. But so you have trauma from your living experience, everything that happened to the body in this lifetime, right? And then you have trauma from your ancestral lines, from your maternal, paternal, and there the whole lineage, right? Because what is very interesting now to see that I'm actually processing my mother's trauma or my father's trauma, which is living in this body.
Similar experiences or through your body?
It's through my body. Like I see that my mother's trauma that got carried in this body got amplified through the experiences I went through.
Mhm.
So it's like kind of magnified trauma, like I can see my father's trauma because, when we study them, we can see that we inherited this part, this crazy part from them. And then our life experiences actually magnified that part in us. Like it kind of made it even stronger. So, like the trauma doesn't end in a good way because we are always opening, like there is no end of trauma because then this wouldn't be this dimension. So this dimension, this life is for constantly opening and opening through just like many, many, many layers of, unprocessed emotion that just keeps coming up, keeps coming up, keeps coming up. And the more we understand this process, right, the more beautiful relationship we start to have with what is this emotion, this difficult emotion doing? It's just
Yeah.
opening my body to feel more light.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny because I also came to the conclusion like, of course, when you are on that journey, and even a lot of people, they are looking for healing. So I was always going into different directions. Like
Mhm.
I'm very much into yoga, but then I
Mhm.
also went into shamanism.
Mhm.
And I always had to out a little bit again because I saw that actually um, they mean good, but it's a very focused living on just we have to heal this, we have to heal that, and then we will feel better. So it's actually the same dogma again, like religion always tells us you are just not good, you are sinful, and when you cleaned out all your sins, you're going to be happy. And so this is again the same thing, just new words somehow. I'm
Mhm.
not saying, because there's a lot of good things, but the it can be problematic that people stay in there and they heal and they heal. And what I also felt like, actually, you can heal a lot and you have to, of course, but there will always come a new thing which is trying to tear you down, because this is just the way it is. So when you cleaned out something else will take its place, and so you will never end up you will never be finished with cleaning,
Healed.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually it's good to do that
Yeah.
until you see, well, now there's a good layer, and now I also it's time to just finish the cleaning, because
Yeah.
there will always be dirt, and just to learn how to connect to the light. And a lot of people, they miss that. They clean and clean, and all the ceremonies are always about cleaning your dirty, your shadow side, and not connect to the light. And I think that's something I really had to also learn the hard way.
Yeah.
That I really have to learn to connect to the light, which is also not easy, because
Mhm.
it's like a back and forth. Because as soon as you start to connect to the light, you see why you still cannot do it, because you have this and that shadow side that tells you you are not good enough to connect to the light. So but I think it's a better way. Connect to the light. It will tell you where you still have your shadow side that tell you you are not allowed to do that. And then you clean that out, but not just cleaning, cleaning, cleaning.
Mhm.
No?
Mhm. Yeah, I felt like a analogy coming up. It's like I have to use my glass. So it's like this, right?
Mhm,
So with the glass, right? The point is to see with the clear glass,
mhm.
right? Through the eyes of our light, purity. And this healing thing is like, just cleaning the glass, cleaning the glass,
Never
cleaning the glass.
put them on.
Yeah, never actually looking
Oh,
with the glass, right? The point is to look.
yeah,
The point is to experience,
yeah.
right? And we clean up so that we can see with with heart, right? And yeah, so I think it's just the mind, how the mind is. It's the dimension of mind
Yeah.
where it can get very easily attached to an idea, a concept.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
healing can be a concept that it can get attached,
Hmm.
only to find out that no attachment can really describe the infinity that we are. And so we will hurt because we are then not in our true dimension because we got attached to a process,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
So, what about right now? Do you have any suggestions for people who are struggling with bodily issues and pains through the krios that appear? Do you have any
Mhm.
suggestions? What helps
Yeah.
in these times?
So I can say my life, it was hard at the beginning, obviously, because I felt alone and I didn't know what's going on. And then the shadow work really started. Like I had a therapist I worked with for 3 years. I had a spiritual mentor who kind of brought me back to that dimension, like easily. Um, and then recently I got into energy healing that I do myself now. So there are different modalities, and everyone can pick whatever that suits them. But there are different dimensions to this clearing process. I will just say not healing because, like it's a eternal journey. And even sometimes the word healing feels bad. It's just holding, right? We are becoming whole. So it's like a certain level of clearing process that we go through at the beginning where it's good to rely on help,
Mm-hmm.
to take utter care of the body because this is what needs all the love,
Mm-hmm.
starting from food to what you are, just being conscious about everything that you're consuming and how the body is reacting to it,
Yeah.
to even like all the friends, people, situations where your body is. And wherever it feels comfortable, go in that direction. Wherever it can relax more. And to have so much free time where your body can, it will automatically purge. It just needs that free time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of space for this Kundalini to work itself through it because it is the most intelligent force in our body. It knows what to do. We just have to give it the time, space, attention, and surrendering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is really difficult
Mhm.
because then I also I know that it's absolutely true. That's the way you just surrender and trust this intelligence. But also, it's again that back and forth. When you surrender, you feel why you can't surrender yet. It's like that blockage that holds you back or something like that. I just wanted to just shortly uh,
Mhm.
go back or ask you, was there something else you wanted to say about childhood and
Mhm.
how it was connected? Because we went off that path a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, the journey started where my mother wasn't there. Like I grew up with my grandparents and my father and mother for first few years of my life. And when a child is here, it needs to have that connection to really open the root center. That's when we feel belonged
Mm-hmm.
to this dimension, essentially. Since that didn't happen through me, for me, and then later on, my whole adolescent and the way I grew up, the environment that I was in, it was just not where I was accepted the way I am. And I was embraced for who I am. So, for a lot of different reasons, my my centers that are like the lower centers, sacral, root, even solar to some point was just closed.
Mhm.
And so that was basically the main depression, how it manifested. I just felt like I don't belong here and I just want to die. But energetically, what happened is that those centers were just closed.
Mhm.
And so there is just so much experiences that I don't want to go through. But the main thing that happened is that I felt I'm not accepted. And my body was in constant fight or flight response that I am alone. I'm running in this jungle by myself, and my survival is in stake. So that later on, after the depression, manifested as complex PTSD, where I can get into that state like this. Like I have a meeting with Catherine, I'm already in that state.
Mhm.
So it can happen if I, now that I understand the body a little bit more of what it needs, if I don't give it what it needs, which is space and time to process, it can so easily get into that state where other people who doesn't know about Kundalini and like all of this process will think I'm crazy,
Wow.
you know.
How does it manifest then? What happens when you go in? Are you okay with talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, because everyone experiences their, the trauma patterns differently. For me, it's just I get into a very like I will express what happened 1 day ago, like in a very panic state, like I'm not here. Like obviously I can't enter the body because there's so much, it's so compressed, so like this, nothing feels good, and I just feel like I will die. Like the feeling is that I will die. Like that's how it feels like. And I can't sleep. Like the whole head is just throbbing with pain. So much negative, constant negative, like I need to watch out for this. Like this, it's a very like, and in that moment, what happens is my language center also in my brain, it gets
Oof.
closed. So, like you can't even express it to anyone because that's how the brain is then. Like it's in severe stress. And then the whole body, like the spine, is just so much pain. Like your lower back, like the pain can happen in different spots. That was happening. It's just I can't relax. Like I am just like this, and it's just like locked.
It's crazy. And I tell
It's crazy.
actually, I was also a bit fed up for like the last few months. I feel much better
Hmm.
now because I had really also very dark. I'm not going into it because it was
Hmm.
crazy.
Hmm.
And I'm just looking for the book. I'm not sure because it helped me a lot. I will show you. It's in German, but it's a book of Tara Springett. And it actually, this book, Kundalini, Healing Kundalini Symptoms, helped
Hmm.
me a lot.
Hmm.
She has that approach that it's actually, it's something very, very mental. What we also feel, you also, it's like it's mental blockages that
Hmm.
manifest in the body. So it doesn't help to do a lot of body work. You just have to
Hmm.
really work through the issues that hold
Mhm,
on,
mhm,
like,
mhm.
and not to be scared that anything happens to your body, which is also good to hear for people. Like relax,
Yeah,
you just um, emotional stuff that is being felt by you through the nervous system.
yeah, yeah,
Normally, you don't have that access that much because
yeah,
for me, also Kundalini is it's not something that not everyone goes through actually. It's just that Kundalini, when the Kundalini is active, you feel it, but
yeah, yeah,
one has exactly the same blockages
yeah,
and should
yeah,
same the same exercises.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah,
only who goes through such a Kundalini.
yeah, yeah.
And so this book, what helped me is like she gives exercises to really just
Mm-hmm,
on having that connection to a higher dimension, and to
mm-hmm,
also to somehow an embodied higher person, because
mm-hmm,
think about the universe, you will not feel that love that you really need to be renourished that much. So it was really, really helpful for me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And yeah, maybe you want to try. And not everything that she's talking about in the book really resonates, but the exercises are really, really good. And she's a
mm-hmm,
psychiatrist, which is also, is like, it's good to hear from somebody like a psychiatrist who went through that experience on her own, and now she's talking about it
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
from scientific perspective, but also her own spiritual experience.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So yeah.
mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to really share out of your experience?
Um, I want to share it's a very, very personal process, even though like, like there's so many tools out there, so many tools. Um, some people may be more resonant to sound healing, right? Some people could be more resonant to color
Mm-hmm.
healing, right? Some people may be more resonant to physical exercise,
Mm-hmm.
and some may be more just, you know, um, walking in nature. So I just want to reiterate that the whole process is to really um, just to be who we are, and to really just feel what feels good for me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And there will be like some tools that will be resonant in this phase that will just naturally drop in the next phase,
Yeah, you're
right?
absolutely
Maybe
right.
some people, yeah, like some people, I have a friend who is really into breathing exercise. I have another friend who is really into yoga, right? So everyone has their own way,
Mm-hmm.
and like we can share our way, but we have to understand that our way is already within us and it is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And all we have to do is just like listen to ourselves, right? What feels good? What feels good right now? Just this question. What feels good right now?
Yeah, that's very,
So,
yeah, we're so disconnected from that, right? Everyone to
yeah.
feel in our own body what is right.
Yeah, and the whole, I mean, if we just look at from a very medical perspective, the whole process is to just relax the nervous system. The whole process is to be in a relaxed nervous system state. That's like the whole journey, right? And we go through this and that, but the whole process is that, right? And so everyone has their own approach, and just like see which feels good. Like for some, they can do aromatherapy, like just whatever. For some it's like a long bath. For some it can be like reading a very high vibrational book or listening to a podcast. So just feel what feels right.
Yeah, for
And
me,
there,
yeah, it's also music, sound healing, music, singing.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, there are like so many things for us to pick any moment and just like go with the path of least resistance.
Yeah. And last question.
Hmm.
If you are okay with time, is
Yes, I am.
because you were talking about how right now your life is like every day it's like an adventure, and
Hmm.
it's it's so beautiful to hear that even though that you
Yeah.
have your struggles, in the
Yeah.
process with everything, like
Yeah.
that you can see how your life is actually an adventure. And I would love to hear from you how you combine that and how you manage these two parts of your life, like to still deal with issues and to
Yes.
see the brightness.
Yeah. So now it is seen like this is the source that needs to be filled, right? This is the cup that needs to be filled. And the point of filling this cup is to pour love outside of me, right? And so it's a very like in a way like a unidirectional process, but it has a two direction, right? The unidirection is to be love,
Mm-hmm.
to express, to tap into that love that we already are, and to stay there, right? So that is the unidirection. And the bidirection is that first I attend me, and only then I can give others. And that other can be anyone, a friend I'm talking with, a stranger, or my client, or just anyone, right? My parents. So it's just that loving presence is the source, right? So it can only come if this is attended.
Mm-hmm.
If there is, if this cup is empty, then all I'm spilling is craziness, right? So that's it's getting just easier to look at that way, and finding the time, because we have so many different dimensions to take care of, right? Like this is just a part of our life, right? Like just filling our cup and taking care of all of this constant evolution, constant embodiment, right? So just like making space so that I don't overcommit
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
anywhere, anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I still have time to take care of my 3D
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? Things that the body needs, right? And then I have time to, pour into my soul. So it's just like kind of being a little bit efficient with time management, and like just not making myself too busy, because that is related to my symptoms.
Yeah.
If I don't have enough space to process, I can very easily slip in that
Mm-hmm.
where my amygdala is like this. So I just have to make sure that I'm not overcommitting, and that's a challenge for me, because I really want to share myself with my friend, and I really want to do this and that, and like just jump in joy, but then I can get so easily drained, and so I have to really learn how to have a lot of nourishing solitude and let the kundalini replenish, you know
Mm-hmm.
it's just always constantly flowing, so that like I feel replenished. And then whatever I do is magical. It can be cooking, it can be just sitting at the backyard, taking just like staring at the grass. Like anything can be magical when this is, rested. So
Wow. Yes. Beautiful sharing. Thank you so much.
mm,
It's very, very inspiring. Yeah. And just really good to hear that you find your way to juggle this journey and
finding every day is like
yeah.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much, Sabina. And
My pleasure.
sure, I'm sure we will keep in contact because sometimes
Mm.
also these group interviews where we share, you know,
Mhm.
some people together. So that would be very nice if you can.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you so
you
much. Thank you so
and
much.
have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.